Life, Film Review, Terror in Space. The spirit of Ridley Scott's Alien haunts this gratifyingly gruesome sci-fi chiller. Shame about the clunky script, says Matthew Norman. In Death, two great Englishmen hover over life. This sparse, sporadically petrifying sci-fi chiller is the latest in a long line stretching back to the late 50s to ask itself the classic David Bowie question. Its answer, as that press title so subtly hints, is that, yes, there is life on Mars, although the specific life is in stasis and off Mars as the movie begins. It has been collected in a soil sample by a faulty unmanned probe heading at dangerous speed towards the International Space Station. Floating in their $230 billion tin can is a multinational crew of three Americans, the Hollywood all-star trio of Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson, a Russian, a Japanese and a Brit, respectively Olga Dyakovnaya, Hiroyuki Sanada and Ariane Becker. We've been waiting a long time for this sample, says Mission Commander Ekaterina Golovkina. Dyakovnaya, after a 6-minute opening scene has given us a tour of the intricate ISS layout and introduced the astronauts recording their audio diaries, with the languor soon jettisoned in favor of hurtling pace. Their wait abruptly ends. In the deftest Red Planet-related spacewalk interception since Jessica Chastain caught Matt Damon in The Martian, the probe is grabbed. The Mars samples are safe and sound, says the commander to delirious whooping. It may be the only drolly ironic line in a rather clunky script that eschews humor quite deliberately in favor of gripping intensity. Safe and sound isn't quite Butch telling Sundance. For a moment there I thought we were in trouble as they stroll into the gunfire of the entire Bolivian army. But it's close. When science officer Hugh Derry, Becker, who is paralyzed from the waist down, yup, one of those affirmative action astronauts, puts the dormant single cell under his microscope, the one properly alarmed crew member is a whisker-twitching white lab rat. All that worries the humans, who have plainly never been to the movies, is whether the cell is alive. Becker dribbles on a drop of sugary glycerol and eureka. The protoplasmic filament gives a tiny but perceptible wiggle. We are looking at the first incontrovertible proof of life beyond Earth, says the commander. Oh, it's beautiful. Eye of the beholder, and still, one has cooed over far more hideous newborns. And small wonder that David Jordan, Gyllenhaal's former army doctor, is excited by the novelty after an off-world record-breaking 473-day stint in space. Soulfully shell-shocked by too many war-zone tours, he finds freedom from the chaos and horror on Earth in the mega-claustrophobic sterility of the ISS. After the organism has been named Calvin, after President Coolidge, not Klein, by a competition-winning schoolgirl, who joins the crew by satellite from an exalted Times Square in one of very few earthly scenes, the jubilation fades. Galactic history's most powerful sugar rush sees Calvin grow with astounding speed into a snakish starfishy squid-like thing with translucent wings, an innate talent for using Earthling tools and an irksome immunity to flamethrowers and oxygen deprivation. After giving the crew cause to get their Calvins in a frightful twist by gripping and necrotizing Derry's arm, it brings to mind that other lamented Englishman. Job Hurt died a tantalizing few weeks too soon to enjoy this echo of his film career highlight, albeit this little monster enters its victim via the mouth rather than exiting through the ribcage. The more substantial twist on Alien is that the ISS isn't light years away in deep space like the Nostromo but in geostationary orbit. Writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wennick were obviously aware how heavily Ridley Scott's masterwork would hang over life, especially with the latest in the franchise, Covenant, due in May. This is the identical story of humans being hunted in an oppressively confined space by an indestructible enemy of mortifying power. The crucial distinction is that this monster threatens an extinction-level event. The species is at stake. If the astronautic disdain for safety protocols they were rigorously trained to follow verges even more than usual on the surreal, The quality of the acting largely quietens the inner voice screaming, "What is wrong with you dummies? Did NASA teach you nothing?" Meanwhile, the taut urgency of Daniel Espinosa's direction deflects much of the déjà vu. Life is anything but a saddening bore, even if you've seen it, or something very like it, 10 times or more. It rattles out the gratifyingly gruesome deaths. Like so many infants, Kelvin tends towards the clingy, and provides moments of pure terror. You won't lightly forget Show Murakami, Sonata, a new father with so much to live for, eyeballing Kelvin from the other side of his glass-encased space bed. Once the six have been whittled down to the obligatory duel, the closing minutes elevate an anachronistically plain film, none of Interstellar's pan-dimensional mysticism, or the creation mythologizing of Prometheus, into something more striking. For visceral shock, the final scene has a faintly Planet of the Apes flavor. At times, life is beautiful. The astronauts' eye-view shots of the home world they are battling to save, planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing they can do, are the most gorgeous since Gravity. But at barely 100 minutes, the density and relentlessness of the action denies it the time and space to develop the crew beyond two-dimensional prey, with prosthetic backstories screwed on in place of more organic characterization. In an age of the 2.5-hour Bond caper, this is probably the last criticism you would expect of any film. But life is short.